I'm Yusuf Estes with really good news. But they are not getting the right message. So the best time to get the right message out is right now. And we have the best way to do exactly that with the law's support and your help. We've got our projects, our websites, satellite TV channels, and now we can reach every home on the planet, inshallah. Let's make that difference together. It's easy. And be my dawah partner. And we're coming to you almost live all the way from our studios right here in Southern California, mashallah ta'ala. And if you were visiting with us last night, you know what the subject is going to be tonight. And I don't have to tell you. But for those who are visiting for the first time or getting back to us, I should tell you that we're going to be talking about where the Bible for the Christians exactly ties, well, Christians and Jews, exactly ties in with Islam, and where it doesn't and why. Okay, so that's what our big subject is. But then in the second part of our program, we're going to be talking about how you can get a website. Yeah, and this is not an advertising for that. It's one of the ones that we already have, and we are assigning those to folks that are tuned in with us and have the same mentality as us, and we are accepting folks to do that. All right, now here's our guest, Richard Kiefer. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Alaikum salam.
How are you?
From Balmy, Michigan.
Balmy, Michigan. Wait,
yes.
It's balmy. Balmy, not balmy, right?
Right, yeah. Balmy, warm. It's beautiful here today. We had like 60 degrees.
Don't bring up the subject of bombs, because then you'll get...
No.
That's what we're going to talk about in the second part of the show, why everybody is getting blocked and chopped and hacked and everything. So that's the second half of our show. But but now what we're talking about is the Bible translations, of course, and what agrees with Islam and what doesn't and why. What do you think?
Well, that sounds like a big subject. One worthy of entering into, that's for sure. Obviously, as a former Christian pastor, I kind of crossed that bridge and discussed in my mind, at least, what agrees and what doesn't. When I first became Muslim, I used to sit down with my open Bible and my Quran next to each other. And so I'm reading the Quran, I'm going, oh yeah, that's a truth that's in the Bible as well. And I was kind of marking and cross-referencing a little bit just to find out what was there. And because we, as Muslims, we accept the revelations of Allah, and there is truth and revelation in the Bible, but it's not all there.
Well, last night and the night before, we found out some of the things that are not categorically in line with the other parts of the Bible, and also not in line with what we have in the Quran. But the big thing that we experienced last night at the very end of the show was the fact that Jesus, alayhi salam, peace be upon him, was not, definitely, according to the Bible, was not the Son of God, the only begotten Son of God, because it turns out, well, I'll let everybody see that, and if I can, let me see if I can pull that up. Yeah. because it says, yeah, here we go. Yeah, what we're talking about now is this is in the book of Matthew and chapter 1 and verse 16, and it says, Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who is also called Christ. So all the generations, wait a minute, let me pull that up so that you can see it a little bit better. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so it says now, all the generations, 14 generations, from David until the carrying away of Babylon, 14 generations, and from the carrying away to Babylon unto Christ, 14 generations. Well, if you count these, you'll find that it's not the total of 14 plus 14 plus 14, but it's off by a little numbers, so maybe they're counting the same one twice. You know, like if you said 14 to this and then 14 to the next one, well, you start maybe counting that one. So I don't know. But in the book of Luke, let's put Luke in here and see what that says. And it starts with, Jesus himself began to be about 30 years old. This is in Luke chapter 3 and then verse 23. It said, and Jesus himself began to be about 30 years of age, being as was supposed. And I want to emphasize that because it's saying as was supposed, that because that was not in the original text. What do you have to say about that?
Well, you know, the whole stories there that come from Matthew, Mark, and Luke. I mean, they didn't have the ability to write things down, and everything was word of mouth for years. So, and there were no eyewitnesses. The authors, we don't know who they are, of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They ascribed names to them, but it's not like they had, here's the disciple Matthew, here's the disciple Mark. It was just names that were given them because they were written considerably later, past the life of Christ, and they weren't eyewitnesses. The Gospels are written third person, like someone from the outside looking in. And they all came from stories. They, sitting around the campfire and, oh yeah, I was with Jesus the other day and he said this or he did that, and the stories passed along from generation to generation. They'll finally, it started getting written down. But obviously, I mean, we used to play a game. We sit in a circle and you kind of whisper something in somebody's ear and they whisper. And by the time it gets around, after about even 10, 15 people, it is totally distorted from what was originally said. And that has obviously happened. That there was, that's just the way it was. People telling stories. They weren't writing them down. And even those who ended up writing them down, they were just they collected all these stories from what they heard. So to have some variances, is surely expected, and that's that's obvious.
Okay, so now we're talking about the book of Luke, but you're saying that Luke is not the name of anybody that wrote it down because we don't know their name. Is that right?
even the most conservative Christian scholar has to finally admit we don't know. There's no way to know. Uh, we don't have the original copies. We don't have the copies of the copies. We don't have copies of the copies of the copies. We don't know. We have bits and pieces all put together. And I remember some of the theology professors I had, and they used to say, "Well, from what we can tell, we probably have most of it pretty good, and most of it correct." And my mind was always like, because they were talking about like a 90%. We think we got about 90% of it right, and nothing major. And I was like, "What are you doing? How do you make that assertion when you don't have what was originally written?" Um, and so there's going to be variances. Um, it just, I mean, you take a look at the Christmas story in Luke 2 and Matthew 2, they're different. So,
well, we found out that the numbers, it says 14 generations plus 14
yeah.
generations plus 14 generations, which is going to be 42, I think. Is that right? If you add 14, 14, and 14. However, you come up with a little bit more than that, but I don't know how to. In my mind, if you start with 14 and start with 1 and go to 14, and then you say from that 14, then it would be less when you get to the next 14, because you would not be adding 14, you'd be adding 13, because 14 generations from here, that means you start with it totals out more. It's got 2 more. So, but
I have no idea.
that's not the big thing. The
Yeah.
big thing is, in Luke, you find that there is, I'm going to put that up now. Yeah. Okay. So we go back to as was supposed. And whoever added that, that was later. The son, where is it? Okay. Which was the son of Mathat. Okay. Joseph was the son of Heli. And that's what it says. Or Heli. Heli, or Heli, or something like that. And that's the son of Mathat, which is the son of Levi, which is the son of Melchi, which is the son of Janna, which is the son of Joseph, which is the son of Matthias, I don't know if I pronounced that right, the son of Amos, son of Nahum, and the son of Isli, the son of Nagi, and then the son of Ma'ath, the son of Matthias, we see names being used over and over here. Matthias, this one is saying Matthias, and this one said Matthias, and then this one said Joseph, and then we have Joseph, the father of Jesus, and then there's another Joseph here, and then another Joseph down here. And then they said that is the son of Judah, the son of Joanna, the son of Zerubbabel, and Salathiel, and Neri. And in the one that's in Matthew, we find that has some coordination in it, but most of them are totally different people. But then in the middle of it, it gets down to Mathat. Okay, that's good. But then Salathiel and Zerubbabel, that's the only place in the Bible that I found those names in the New Testament, and they're talking about the children of Israel, and they're saying that these are the names, but all of a sudden they have a different father. Now, we did learn in the book of Matthew that yes, I'm looking at this going up and down. It is in the book of Matthew, the son of David was absolutely Solomon. But in this one, here we go. The son of Meliah, the son of Meon. Okay. Then, but Nathan here is the son of David, not, and the David is the son of Obed, and that's it. This matches all the way back to Abraham. But this one goes back further, and it says the son of Canaan, the son of Arphaxad, the son of Sem, the son of Noah, son of Lamech, son of Methuselah, son of Enoch, son of Jared, the son of Melai, the son of Canaan, the son of Enos, and then it says the son of Seth, the son of Adam, and he was the son of God. This Adam is the son of God. That is exactly what it says in the Bible. Now, I don't know how somebody could read that and not understand that this is something else. But I brought that to one of the pastors when I was still a Christian, and I asked about this, and he said, no. You see, that is a lowercase son. It's not uppercase. And I said, oh, okay. He said, if it was uppercase, then that means God. Okay, what if you start a sentence with it? It has to be uppercase. Is that true? But anyway, in the languages of Aramaic and Hebrew and Arabic, and this was the languages spoken in Jerusalem at that time. They didn't have uppercase and lowercase, and they still don't today. Is that true or false?
Yeah, I mean, that's totally arbitrary, depending on who's writing. If you're reading through, like on one of the websites of the Bible where they're talking about the Greek, and you look on them, and it's from a Christian source, they will have the capital omegas, the capital sigmas, and all these things, but they're not there. It's in the Greek, it's just not there. So they have just kind of they've made that decision and put it in. I mean, there are capital letters in Greek, but just because you see, like in the King James Bible, you see Son of God with a capital S, you go, oh, that must be. Well, it's not. It's just an arbitrary, whatever the translator.
Now I'm going to ask a question. Maybe it's a dumb question, but I don't think Jesus spoke Greek, or any of the followers of him. They would have spoken the prevalent language, which was Aramaic. Is that true?
Well, not only that, the followers of Jesus were uneducated. They were fishermen. They were common people. So they spoke Aramaic. That's exactly right. And the language the common language of them was Aramaic. And that's why some of the problem is when you get to the Greek translations, the beginning of it being written down, it's like, no, the fisherman didn't write this. That just didn't happen. Nothing wrong with
Well,
fishermen,
but now
but
when we
they
get
were
down
not
to
Greek
the
scholars.
part, when you get down to the part, and now the Matthew stops on Abraham. Okay, so we only get as far as Abraham. However, in this one it goes all the way back to Adam, and it says Adam is the son of God. And I'm going to highlight that so that everybody can see it and take a look at it. It said, the son of Enos is the son of Seth, the son of Adam, the son of God.
Yeah, I mean, the bigger problem to me is when a genealogy comes down and it's leading to Joseph. It's like, the genealogy leads us and connects us to Joseph. I was like, well, what does he have to do with it? He's he's not the father. What are they trying to connect here? Um, I mean, in the Quran, we don't even have Joseph in the story. So it's that's kind of odd to bring Joseph into the picture. He's just Mary's boyfriend at that moment.
As a matter of fact, in Islam, we don't have any mention of Joseph at all.
No.
We just have a miracle birth. And she is delivering the baby under a tree, a date tree, which is in bloom, and it's the ripe dates are there, and she's able to eat those if she wants to, and all of that to say that that is the time of Jesus' birth, which is probably September or October, or the latest, the very first part of November. So the folks that
Not December 25th. I thought December 25th was the day.
yeah, I know
Jesus,
you know
Jesus is
better.
the reason for the season.
Yeah, actually, that was the birth of Mithras.
Yes,
Is that true?
that's what I understand. Yeah, yeah, one of the Greek mythologies. Yeah, but actually, there's a lot of speculation that some of the disciples may have kind of copied and put that whole thing together based on some of the Greek mythologies,
Well,
uh,
uh,
being the son of God and this kind of thing, and
I
coming
don't
from the
know
dead.
if you've ever noticed it, but in the Matthew, the book of Matthew starts out by saying, this is the very first verse. It said, this is the genealogy of Jesus the Christ. Did you know that?
Well, not specifically, but I sure looked that up.
The very
Um,
first verse
yeah,
of Matthew, the very first verse in the New Testament, because Matthew is the
yeah,
first
right.
book, and that first thing, read it to us.
Yeah, yeah, the book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham.
Read it slow and word
Okay,
by word.
the book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of
Okay,
David.
if that's the case, they don't believe that he is really from God, the miracle birth, because it says he has generations. If you're going to be a miracle birth, you can't have generations, because that implies that you have a father, and he has a father, and he has a father, and father, and father, and father, going all the way back to
Yeah,
Abraham. Is
yeah,
that right?
yes, yeah, indeed. Yep. And
Okay, so in the book of Matthew, you've got it right there, open up,
Yeah.
then it starts with Abraham. No, it doesn't. It starts with, it starts with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob,
Yeah.
Judas, Phares, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's put it up on the screen so everybody can read it. It starts with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Judas, Phares, Esau, Aram, Amadab, Nasan, and Salmon. All right. Now, we got that. Guess what? That matches perfectly with Luke.
Okay.
That matches perfectly with Luke. All right? And it says the same thing, and their spelling is off on Judas and Judah, but that's okay. I'm not stickler on that. Oh God. I can't switch anything now. Oh God. I got to get a new mouse. This one is old and it's wore out. Okay, it started working again. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. I don't know why it does that. Sometimes it's stuck.
What do you think of the bigger problem here of, and Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary? And that,
well, yeah, that's.
He wasn't even her husband at that point.
I stumbled over that yesterday, but I didn't mention it to the audience. And I thought, wait a minute, it's saying that she was already married to him, okay, but she's not married, or she is married, or how did that happen? Because if he was born from these generations, then what? He has, I don't know.
But, yeah, well, just down a couple of verses, it says Mary was a spouse to Joseph.
Yeah.
But the generational thing keeps trying to make him part of the picture.
But you know what? I asked a pastor about that question recently, well, not recently. And he said, you just have to have faith.
Oh, yeah.
Faith. Just have faith. You lost your faith, boy.
Yeah, yep.
Faith in what? Now, the next thing is that these lined up really good, but after David the king, okay, now let's look at that. David the king. All right. So David the king, Solomon, and Nathan. That's two different people. Nathan the prophet and Solomon the king. He was the king right after David. And then Nathan is the prophet. Now, how does that work? And then we have totally different names all the way through. Mathatha, Oyas, and I can't pronounce these names. But then all of a sudden, we have Sealthiel, Salathi, and Zerubbabel. And then this one says Salathiel and Zerubbabel. But that's opposing Jacob. And then this goes on and on and on and on. And then it gets down to Joseph. And then Jesus, as supposed. I can't make heads or tails out of that. What do you think?
Well, I read there's a convert. He speaks quite a bit. His name is Yusuf Evans, and he converted to from Christianity, and he used to go to Bob Jones University. down in Greenville, South Carolina, where they are. That's the mecca of conservative Baptist kind of theology. And he talked to one of his professors, and his professor said this. Let's just take a second to read a couple sentences. The professor at Bob Jones said, "What you have is a book written by men over centuries and centuries. This book started as an original that was copied and copied. Someone added a mistake, and someone came behind him and corrected that mistake, according to his point of view, and added several mistakes of his own. Someone came along, skipped a line, and added a line, and there wasn't supposed to be while they were copying. Someone else then copied it and took it to his town and country and made changes to make it understandable to the people of that country. After all these years, you have a book that is compiled from all of this, written by the hands of men, that still has men's fingerprints left on it. And that is what you have, an imperfect book that is only perfected through faith. It is not textually a perfect book. Those who believe in it by faith. It is a book taught to be inerrant, but it is only perfected through your faith." As is what you were saying.
I knew Yusuf when he was still in lockup, and we went there and we visited with him, Mutahar Sabri and I. And then when he got out, he gets hooked up with Eddie with the Dean Show, and then that was just starting. And then we went up there at his behest. He requested we come up there. Yusha did, and we started out with them, and that was a beautiful thing, a really wonderful thing. And Eddie still has his Dean Show, and that's successful. And Yusha Evans is still rolling on with his stuff. So that's we really.
Yeah, Eddie skipped town. He went. He was in Chicago. They got tired of
He's
Chicago.
in Indiana now.
No. Oh, no. He's in Tampa.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's in Florida. He moved from
Florida,
yeah.
which is outside of Tampa.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a dummy. So yeah, he's down there and doing a great job. But you just say, I mean, you're saying this professor said it's perfected through faith. It's like the transubstantiation of Catholicism. It's like they say the cracker and the grape and the wine, away from the wine, when I pray over them, they become the flesh and the blood of Christ. They may look like cracker and grape juice or wine, but they are not. So what you see is not what's really there. And so you look at a book and you go, well, it's full of errors. Oh, no. By faith, I see it as perfect. I was like, you're looking at a green wall and saying it's blue.
Well, by faith,
That's not
what
faith.
What can you do?
That's assumption.
When I came to Islam, that was one of the things that the gentleman talked about to me. Muhammad was his name. Muhammad Abdurrahman, rahimahullah. Anyway, so he told me, if your religion is better than mine, I'm supposed to go to it. My religion teaches me that. Will you go to the truth? I said, okay. Yeah. And I figured we had him, because you don't have to pray 5 times a day as a Christian, but you do have to do it as a Muslim. And you don't have to fast the month of Ramadan. You can fast if you want to, but you don't have to. And you don't have to make a pilgrimage. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. And there's many things that you can just take it easy. And then he said, well, you have to have proof. And I said, religion is not about proof. Religion is about faith. And then he said to me, well, in Islam, we have the faith and we have the proof to back it up. And then I was, without thinking, I said, you mean to sit there and tell me you can prove there's a God? And then he countered that with, You mean you can't? Ha. Whoa. And on that, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. So everybody stay tuned, stay guided, and we'll be right back right after this.
A way of life, a way of life, a way of life, a way of life. Islam is a way of life, a complete way. A way of life, a way of life, a way of life, a way of life. Islam is a way of life, a complete way.
قناة جايد أس التلفزيونية الفضائية.
The programs and the channel are all dedicated to true faith, what it is, why we need it, how we use it in today's world, in simple English, 24 hours a day, right here on Guidance TV. This is Yusuf Estes for Guidance TV, bidding you peace. Salam. Salam alaikum.
ووظف الشيخ يوسف التكنولوجيا في عمله الدعوي من خلال المواقع الإلكترونية، مستخدما اللغة الإنجليزية بشكل مبسط وممتع لضمان سهولة فهمها من قبل الحضور، بالإضافة إلى استشهاده بالقرآن والتعاليم الإسلامية خلال حديثه.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. لا إله إلا الله محمد.
Assalamu alaikum. We are back, mashallah, and I interrupted all of that to have time to talk about what were the similarities between Christianity and Islam. Number one, we are the only other organized faith that believes that Jesus Christ is Jesus Christ, and he was born without any human intervention. That means he didn't have a father. So the book starts out saying that these are the generations of Jesus the Christ. And how could that be? Because he doesn't have a father. And then, as was supposed, okay, that's in another book. That's in the book of Luke. And it says, as supposed. And that maybe is legitimate, but however, it's in parentheses, so it means it was added. So I think that the people that came up with all of this, they had a really good idea, and they tried to bring it out. And then when we get down to the book of Luke, and I'm going to put that up on the board right now so that you can see it. The book of Luke, it starts out, and Jesus himself was about 30 years of age, being as was supposed, okay, the son of Joseph. But the son of Heli, that is not what it said in the other book, in Matthew. It didn't say that. It said Jacob. Anyway, so then you have a bunch of names here that don't match. Then you have names that do match. But then you get down to verse number 30 and 38, and it said, the son of Enos, the son of Seth, the son of Adam, and that's the Son of God. So, wow. Now, in the book of, in the Old Testament, and we have a guest, by the way, and I should acknowledge that right away. So, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. For those that tuned in.
Alaikum salam. Alaikum salam. Glad to be here.
Yeah. For those that just tuned in, I have to bring you up to date. We've been talking about this, and this is Richard Kiefer, and he was a Baptist minister for over 40 years. Is that right?
43 plus.
43 plus. Okie
I'm not sure
dokie.
exactly, but at least 43 and then some change.
All right. All
So,
right. Okay. So that is why we are talking about this together and sharing this information, because we were both disappointed in the sayings and teachings of the translated Bible. Now is when I want to bring up this subject. And because we only have a few minutes left, I wanted to just dive into it. There are problems with the translations. That is the big problem. We know that Jesus didn't have a father. That is clear. No matter which one, you take the one in Luke chapter 3, or you take the one in Matthew 1:1. No matter what they say, Jesus doesn't have a father. So why go through all of this and strain yourself? Because the Old Testament does do that. It tells who's the father of the father of the father, or the son of the son of the son, and it goes on and it says begat. He begat this one, and then he begat this one, and that one begat that one. So on and so on and so on. So you really wind up pages of the begatters. Is that right?
well, you do, and that's not just the English translations. There's a book called The Text of the New Testament by Dr. Kurt and Barbara Alon. They're really renowned Bible scholars. And they compare the number of variant-free verses in the Greek. And their totals are that 62.9% of the Greek New Testament has variances. So out of the 7,947 verses, there are variances in nearly 5,000 of them. And that's in the
okay,
Greek.
for us that maybe laymen out here, so what does that actually mean, that word? Variance. What does that mean?
Different.
Yeah.
Different.
That totally different.
So, I mean, because Christianity, they say, well, we have, I forget the number they quote nowadays. It's like close to 5,000 manuscripts or whatever.
Yeah.
With all the Greek,
Pieces.
all those Greek.
Oh, wait, it's not full manuscripts.
No,
it's pieces.
No. Pieces, yeah. Some of them very, very small.
Yeah.
And
the smallest, the oldest piece is the smallest piece, and it's shaped like this.
Yeah.
And I've stood in front of it, and they photographed me standing in front of that.
Wow.
It's in Manchester, England, and in that museum. It's a book repository. And
so we have all the variances within the Greek, because they all came from different sectors and different opinions and different points of view. And so you have all of that, and they're 60%. That's a large number of differences. Some of them significant, some of them not so significant, but there's some pretty significant ones in there.
Okay, so we know that translations can have problems. Now, let's talk about the Quran. The translations of the Quran. The translations to English did not exist before the year 1000. Do you know why?
I have no idea. I know very little about this part of things.
Because there was no English language before 1000.
Of course, I'm sorry. Yeah. Caught me. Yes.
Yeah, the Normans invaded the Saxons in the year 66. 1066. And that is the beginning of the English language. And at the end of that period of time, that century, the Catholic Church translated the Quran to English and used real diabolical words to bring out something that they were trying to promote, and they used this translation to promote the soldiers that they had to go into Jerusalem and commit the acts of atrocity. Until recently, they were the number one atrocities of the Crusades. Remember that?
Yeah.
But did you know that they used their translation of the Quran, and it said slaughter them, slay them, and it said that in the translation of the Quran, and they said, we better slay them before they slay us. Oh, slay is short for slaughter, okay? So that's why people, even today, they say, cut the heads off. And this is something that the reports came out of babies having their heads cut off because of this ayah. But it was translated poorly. If you would say, this is in Surah Baqarah, ayah 190 and 191. And you have to put them together because it's the same exact word, qital. Qital or qital is used in both of them. And in the first one, it says fight, and that's not strong enough. It should be combat. And then in the second one, it says slay, and that's way too strong because it should be combat again. Combat them if they combat you, but if they stop, you have to stop. That's verse 190. And then it goes on to say, if you continue, then you're the aggressor, and Allah does not love the aggressors. It means he hates them. And so then it goes to the next one, waqtuluhum in the Arabic language, and they said, slaughter them. And it doesn't say that. It says combat them even to death. Because if they're combating you even to death, then you got the right to protect yourself. And this is all about, we're hearing that the one country has the right to defend itself. Okay, but to babies? But that's not our subject tonight anyway. So let's continue talking about what confirms Christianity. What confirms it is the opinion that Jesus Christ is the Christ. And that word Christ is Christos in the Greek. And that word means the chosen one or the one that is wiped. And in Arabic, it's exactly that. It's talking about he was wiped. So, Messiah. He is the Messiah. So this we do have in Arabic. In the Aramaic language, Messiah and Mesih. Not Messi, Mesih. Okay? So Jesus is the Christ. So congratulations, guys. You got it. But he has no father. No father. He was created just like Adam as a miracle. But keep in mind, the next person created after Adam was also a miracle. His wife, Hawa or Eve, was also a miracle. Now, we have a man created with no father, no mother. And then we have a woman created from a man, but no mother. Now what's left? Us. We were created with mother and father until we get down to the Christ, the Messiah, and he was created with no father. So hello, we're welcome to all of us. But we are all one. We are the human beings. So let's work together and see what else we can find in the mistakes of the Quran translation and the mistakes of the Bible translation. And we are stuck with referring to the Quran because that's the last actual word of God that we have. There is no other direct word of God on the earth. And if you doubt it, bring a book like it. That's what it says in the Quran. If you have a doubt, bring a book like it. So, yeah, I'll let you talk about that.
It's interesting to me when people talk about Muslims in the line of terrorism and the Quran, being you slaughter them and kill them and stuff. It's like, folks, you need to turn the pages of the Bible and open it up. I mean, there is slaughter and mayhem, Genesis, Exodus, all the way through the Old Testament horror stuff. One of the worst ones to me, you talk about the children. In 2 Kings 2, it says, and he, or Elisha, went up from Bethel, and as he was going there came forth little children out of the city, and they mocked him, and said unto him, go up, thou bald head. And he turned back, and he looked at them, and cursed them in the name of the Lord. And there came forth 2 she-bears out of the wood, and tear 40 and 2 children of them. So I mean, you're talking about the slaughters and the bloods, and it's like you can't talk about that with necessarily willing to look at what the Bible is. There's just scores and scores and scores of those kind of stories of genocide and tearing down whole cities and killing all the women and children and the men, and you even hear cursing and so that bears would come out and tear children apart limb by limb. So you get weary because of the misconceptions that are thrown our way, because you'll take a line. I mean, if I remember right, I'm not a great Quran scholar, but it seems like every time it talks about any type of destruction or whatever, it always goes down another ayah or two, and it says, but if they change their mind, if they repent and accept Allah, then you don't do that. So
well, this is known in the Bible as well, because let me put that up there. And in the Bible, it says that Abraham, answered and said, behold, now have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which I am but dust and ashes. Okay. Peradventure there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy the city for lack of 5? And he said, if I find 40 and 5, I will not destroy it. And he spoke to him yet again, and said, peradventure there shall be 40 and found. And he said, I will not destroy it. I will not do it for 40's sake. So the Lord is saying that he will not. I forgot to show it. I was reading it and not showing it, so sorry, guys. Anyway, you can see that the Lord is saying that he will not do something unless it gets down to, I think it's 5 or something like that. If there's still 5 that are rejecting or 5 that are accepting, So the Lord is generous, and the Lord is forgiving. And this is the message of the Bible. And this is the message of the Quran. Almighty God has created Adam, all right? And he's created all of the things that we see in the universe. And the last thing created was Adam. Yes, okay, we agreed on that. However, if you want to look at the translations of the Quran and the translations of the Bible, you're going to have a problem. I'll give you one of the problems of the translation of the Quran. This is a really big one for me because the Catholic Church did this 1,000 years ago, so don't blame the priests today. But at that time, when they translated it, they translated the very first word that came to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as read. But it doesn't mean that. It means recite. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah. It's a recitation.
Okay, it's a recitation. And he's telling the angel Gabriel is telling Muhammad to recite. And he said, Ma ana bikari. I am not a reciter. He didn't say I'm not a reader, because nobody at that time, very few exceptions, as you said, the people didn't read and write.
No, there was no way to do that. There was no material. There was it just wasn't. They didn't have the evening news. They didn't have the Chicago Tribune. It was all word of mouth, or
yes, and that's exactly what the angel was saying to him. Recite for me, and he said, "I'm not an actual reciter." It's like telling somebody today, "Hey, come up with some lines of poetry," and he's saying, "No, I'm not a poet. I don't do that." And then he said, recite, and then he answered the same thing. Ma'ana bikari, I'm not a reciter. But then finally the angel is telling him, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, khalaqal insana min alaqa. So in the interest of time, we've run out of time, so I would like to just say the translation of that so far: recite in the name of your Lord. Recite because the one who created the mankind from an alaka. And alaka means a leech, and something that clings, and something that's a zyga. That's Arabic. Anyway, so this is exactly how a human is formed under a microscope. Anyway, we'll talk about that tomorrow. If you can come back with us tomorrow, is that okay?
Yeah, that's great.
I saw you taking a picture.
And I'm trying to get a shot of this yet.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
All right.
We need to do more of these. I'm happy to do these. This is good.
Tell everybody what they can do. Stay guided with.
Stay guided, stay tuned, stay happy, stay everything with Guide Us TV.
قناة Guide Us التلفزيونية الفضائية.
The programs and the channel are all dedicated to true faith, what it is, why we need it, how we use it in today's world, in simple English, 24 hours a day, right here on Guide Us TV. This is Yusuf Estes for Guide Us TV.